Hi everyone, this is Drea with Journey Mind Body Spirit, and today I'm going to show you a new thing that I've been trying called composting in place. I'll do a video another time explaining a little bit more about compost if you don't know what composting is. But this is kind of a form, and this is not something that I thought of myself. I found this YouTuber called Robbie and Gary, and Robbie's spelled with the IE, and she does wood chip gardening, and she does a lot of this composting in place. So I'm trying it out. So far it's only been a little bit of time, but I got a lot of these buckets that I got at the 99-cent store, and all of them except for the last one, I did the same method. The last one is still kind of a composting in place, the one with the kind of double-decker, the tomato and in there. That one I did composting in place, I just didn't put food scraps in it. And good story about this, because when you layer it, you kind of put holes. So there's a hole in that gray pot, and there's a hole, let me zoom it in a little bit. There's a hole in that gray pot that's on the top. So its roots are going down to that green bucket, and then there's a hole in the bottom. So I came yesterday, when I came home, it had fell over, and thank the Most High that it didn't fall down my heel, but there was roots coming out the bottom of the bucket on the bottom. I don't know if any got ripped, but tomatoes usually do pretty good. So I put some stakes in the front to keep it from rolling over, and just put it back in its place, and moved it a little bit because the plant's getting a little heavy on one side, so I moved that side more this way, not pointing towards the heel, to kind of fix that. So what I've been doing on the ones that I am using my food scraps, because usually I'm doing my composting in a compost pile, or I've been using my green waste. So right here what I have is some cuttings from seeds that I'm getting that are basically like little sticks. They're parts of plants, but they're like little sticks. And these are palm leaves that keep falling off. Sometimes I'll just cut like the whole thing, because these things are basically like sponges, and put one of these pieces in there. But I'm just kind of taking some of the leaves off. But we'll put one in there just for fun. And I got these buckets at the 99-cent store for $2.99. Not one of my best deals that I've gotten, but I like to have this outside part. Sorry, I got you guys still zoomed in. Sorry. Oh my goodness. But basically you guys seen how I got all of them out here. So these are on the outside where you see from the street. So kind of making it look a little bit neater than just having like random colored buckets that I found. So I'll just put those on the inside where they're not going to be seen. So this is where you can see the street. So I got these to give it more of a, I don't know, just to make it look nicer. So I put these on the bottom. And with this one, like I was showing you, I put holes here. I put 4 holes. And that's so that some of the water can go in, and the roots are not going to be able to go into the ground on this one. But all of them except for the one that I have sweet potatoes in, I put big holes in the bottom so that they can get into the ground. So I'm kind of just trying this different to see if this kind of helps it to keep water longer. And if I'm doing a root vegetable like a sweet potato or potato in a bucket, this is what I would do, because I don't want my potatoes to go underneath. So this one I already made the holes, and I was going to make it for potatoes, but I'm not going to do that anymore. So that's just an option, and I use the soldering gun for that. So that's about as much as I'm going to use of that's about as much as I'm going to use of that. Oh, what did I do with my compost bucket? Oh my goodness, you guys. Oh. I knew I had it pretty close. Oh yeah, I had some more. These are scraps from the garden. So I'll put a little bit of these too. And see, the good thing about this is you're also kind of doing a lot of free stuff that you would be throwing away, and it's helping you to kind of use the soil. So I do some layers. So this is what you would call on the composting. Like I said, I'll get more in detail on another video talking about composting. But this would be the browns, the dried stuff. But technically some of these, if their leaves were green and they're dried, those are green. So food scraps are considered green. So what I do is I got a 5-gallon bucket, does not have any holes, and you could not really push it all the way down, but push it down. If it gets a little smelly, you can just do it out, keep it outside, but this is to keep bugs out of it. So I don't just only do food scraps. I do use Kleenex, paper, like as long as it's not waxy paper, paper plates, and like old bill, if you paid your bill, shred it up and put it in here. Little pieces of potato chip in there. Hold on, I'm gonna try to. Try to pop this up so I can. See, that one's yucky. Got watermelon in there, and there's a lot of bananas that went bad. And it kind of has a wine smell because it's starting to ferment. So now that I got this in there, bugs are going to want to start coming over. So what we're going to do is next I'm going to put some leaves that I've collected, and I could still layer it like more with the other browns I have, but I'm kind of trying to put a little bit of everything in there. I'm getting low on my leaves. So next fall, or whatever your weather is, when you start getting dry leaves, you might want to collect some of them instead of putting them in your green waste. And as I'm putting them in here, I kind of crumble them because I found that if they're whole, sometimes they take longer to break down and it might restrict the roots. But this method has obviously been working. If like I was telling you about my tomato plant, its roots are already coming out through both of those buckets and into the ground. I don't know if it's going to like the ground soil too much, but it should soften up a lot. So, sometimes I'll do a whole bucket, but I'm just going to do half. Because like I said, I'm getting a little low here. And I can put some more of those palm leaves in there if I feel like I want it to be a little bit more full. Sorry, I didn't have all my buckets ready, and I could have made this video a little shorter by just having them there. But, see, look, flies already are storming it. Oh, that's plenty. I'm going to squish it down because when the stuff starts breaking down, it is going to come down more anyway. So you can plant right in this after you're finished, or you can wait a little bit of time. So the next layer I'm going to put what I would consider brown is the Kellogg garden soil, which is a little bit wood chippy. So I'm going to do a layer of that. And sometimes before I even put the leaves on or anything, I'll put garden lime and fertilizer. I didn't have that out for this video, but that's an optional thing. That kind of just helps to block the scents, but I found that with this layering process, you don't really smell it anyway. And because there's holes on the bottom is why I didn't start with the food scraps all the way to the bottom, just so, I don't know, just to kind of, so let's see, we're going to do about that much in the bucket. So this is my same compost bucket, and this is kind of helping to get all the juices out too. So this would still smell if you didn't cover it more. So now we're actually going to cover it with some soil. I'm gonna, and that's you can use native soil, whatever potting soil you have. I already have this over here, so I'm going to use some of this and then some of that. This is Dr. Earth. What is this one called? Motherland. This one has a lot of organic matter in it. You can, like little rocks and wood chips and stuff. And so then after I do layer that, like probably about an inch or two to the top, then I will put wood chips over it. And if you want to do underground watering, this would be a good time to put your watering in too. So I'm just going to cover it up just enough to keep it from smelling. And I'll show you a video of making the underground watering. Alright, thanks for watching. Instead of waiting, I'm go ahead and I'm going to make a hole for this, but I'm going to pull it back out. So this one I'm going to try something different, because a lot of times with these I've been cutting them and just putting like towels in there. So what I'm going to do this time, I'm not going to use one of the PVC pipes on the top. I'm going to leave it up here where I could actually reach it. So it'd probably be best that I kind of put it on the edge. So that way if the plants get too big, I won't not be able to reach it. But I'm going to do some thumbtack holes, or maybe some really tiny holes with my soldering gun. But I think the soldering gun it's going to be too big doing that. So it doesn't need to be buried all the way. And I'm just, like I said, I'm going to pull it out later to put the holes in it. Yeah, I'm going to do it right here, so that way. And this is something with this method, I'll try it out and see how it is. If you don't want to bury it, you can even put the little holes on it and put it on top of your planting bed, whatever size bottle, and then you're kind of upcycling. Let me grab the rest of my potting soil. And this is usually a time where I would put my rock dust and worm castings and everything too, because this is where my plant's roots are going to be. But I didn't get all that stuff ready yet. But I do have to cover this even if I'm going to continue to come back. So I'm going to just like not fill it up and put the wood chips on it, and then come back and put some more soil that has all my amendments in it, because I have a lot of cats that like to hang out around here and they'll poop in here, and I'm trying to garden veganically. I don't want poop, and I don't know what the heck these cats have been eating. I know that they've probably been eating a lot of the birds and squirrels and all that kind of stuff, but I don't want to have their poop in the garden, and I don't want to run into it, because I like to do hands most of the time, just depending. And that's mostly because there's been studies that show that when you get soil under your fingernails, it releases serotonin. So it's actually, you know, a good thing. Kind of how the Most High created us, so that stimulates some stuff. So this one's for real, so I'm just gonna put that in there. This is an optional thing. I like to do this because it just reassures me that I have extra reservoir after watering in my hot climate, and because it's going to go deeper down so that the roots are kind of going down instead of staying closer to the surface and top watering. So I'm just using the rest of these, and most of the time I do not pay full price for any of my bag soil unless I really need some. So whenever I find it, damaged bags, I just snatch them all up. So I'm gonna go get off. It's getting dark and I'm not gonna stay out here too much longer, but I just wanted to share with you guys that I'm trying this out, and if I can figure out how to do it, I will link Robbie and Gary's site so you guys can check out what she's doing. She's really like taking off with this whole composting in place, and she really advocates for planting right away. So most of the time I plant right away, or you can wait a little bit because you kind of have a barrier, so the roots, it has a little bit of time before the roots get in here, and then they can eat all of that stuff. So it's basically taking up more space. You're actually composting where your plants can eat that right away, and they're getting a lot of nutrients from other plants because, you know, plants like to eat other plants. That's their, you know, that's what they do best with. All right. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know if anything's helping you, and if there's any questions or anything you guys think I should try that you found on YouTube or anywhere else. Because I am trying a lot of different styles. I'm also doing the wood chips. See, I didn't sheet mulch in some spots, so I got a lot of weeds coming up. But this is my first year on back to Eden style gardening, so that's why I'm doing buckets too. Just so you know, so I'm doing buckets because my soil I don't really feel is ready, and plus I'm dealing with a lot of this. I think this is crabgrass. I don't know, but this stuff is just crazy. It's hard to get rid of because you can't really find the root of it. But anyways, I'm building my ground soil, so eventually I won't really even need to do beds, but I am growing in the ground in some spots. So I'm going to get some wood chips on this and get back in the house before mosquitoes decide to start biting me. And remember, like, subscribe, and comment. Have a blessed day.